one of the kind of different things that we're doing on this project here is we're actually shortening the wheelbase. So these are considered the luxury Prerunner bedsides. They're shorter than even a quad cab bedside would be by what I've come to find out is 4 inches. So I was able to measure dead center of these, and then I was able to compare and contrast out with the quad cab that we have back here. So I was able to find dead center of the wheel well here and measure to the door panel. And then these also will line up to this door panel here. So that's gonna figure out where we need our link mounts. And then here, these are gonna be the Izzy Fab link mounts that we're doing. And they come with these brackets here that align with these holes on the frame and then throw you a pilot hole right there. So with that being said, we are actually shortening the wheelbase by, what is it gonna be? Normally it's 11, so 4 inches shorter, which is gonna be 15 inches shorter than the stock wheelbase will be. So you'll see these 2 holes here will actually match up with these 2 holes up here. So obviously you see we have a tube that is impeding on that, but we'll be able to trim that and then get it lined up just right. All right, so as you can see, now these 2 holes are completely aligned right here. And then this locates where your hole is gonna get drilled. So we're gonna drill that, or we're just gonna measure that one from there and then go 15 inches up. So that's gonna figure out the height that we need it at on the frame itself. And then after that, we can go and get that thing on. And to talk about these link mounts real quick, these are made by Izzy Fab. They're full chromoly TIG welded. And one of the things I like, we drilled that hole because this piece of 2-inch goes all the way through the other side and actually bolts through. And then with that, it actually helps place your upper link. So your upper link's gonna go on the inside of the frame like so, and it's going to land itself just like that, which is super cool. It makes it really hard to mess up the geometry on these. So let's go ahead and get these welded on because I've got the frame all cleaned up and we are ready to go. All right, now that I've caught my breath from moving this thing out, this is going to be a Camburg full float 9-inch. So it's got the 2.5-inch hubs. It's got 6 piston Wilwood brakes. It's a 35 spline with a Detroit locker in the back. This is maybe gonna go to a spool rear end. At the time when I bought this, it was kind of the plan that this truck was gonna be a cozy street / dirt truck, but obviously we are a little bit beyond that. And this one, it's already got the brakes all plumbed up. The one thing that I am missing is gonna be the 4-link mounts, so we're gonna get those on. All right, so now we have the top of the rear end all cleaned up and it is prepped and ready to start welding. So we're gonna get our 4-link tabs out real quick just to throw a little context in there.
I went and touched a weld that I had done on the front of the truck and got myself a couple 2nd-degree burns, but fortunately I do not feel these anymore. So yeah, we're gonna get back to it. So here we have the Izzy Fab. These are the upper link mounts that he's made for these Camburg rear ends. You're able to order these with them, and that's what I should have done, but we didn't, so this is the option we have. So there we have that one, fits just like that. And then this one fits just like that. And bam, we have this plate right here that has these keyholes that land right here that are gonna set these up at the exact angle that we need them to be at. And I would think it would be more complicated than that, but it's really not. After that, we have all of our other tabs, but we need to wait for the rest of this to all be tacked in place. So let's get this centered out and then start tacking.
So now moving on to these lower link mounts here, I went with these Izzy Fab. These are machined, full billet, 4130 chromoly. So super tight tolerances on them. And how I've been able to get them dead center is I have been able to measure that at 90 degrees and then get these, if you notice, these are both 80.8. So that is dead nuts, gonna be center, and I can follow that along and it is going to be absolutely perfect and true. So I'm gonna get these tacked in just like that. So believe it or not, it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I last touched this. So we have the upper link mounts all burned in. We have the lower link mounts all burned in there. And then next up, we're actually going to be throwing the links on to the rear end and bolting those on. That way we can cycle this up with the larger jacks there and actually get these frame kicks on here and start lining up where the bumps are gonna be and set where our up travel is gonna be for the rear end. All right, well now that I have the links mounted on the truck, I'm gonna take a second to explain them real quick. I went through Hunter Fulwood, he runs Fulco Racing, and he was able to design these links in CAD specifically for this application here. So with my wheelbase, it's actually shortened even shorter than a quad cab bedside would be. So there are quad cab links out there that are gonna be 31 inches from that front uniball pivot. In my case, I'm about 4 inches shorter. So I moved these back to be 35 inches from the front uniball. Now to make up for that difference, because you will lose motion ratio right there, is I'm gonna be running an 18-inch coilover and a 20-inch bypass, which kind of is the new thing with a lot of these full-size trucks. That way you run the shock package entirely outside. Now say if I ran just a link that's off the shelf, for the most part, I'd be cutting this entire firewall out, and I mean, in some cases, you'd have the bypass shock completely inboard of the cab right there. So Hunter absolutely killed it on these. These are fully TIG welded, fully cut out of 4130, and just, they are a work of art. It almost feels bad to have to powder coat parts like this at some point, but that kind of explains where these came from. And if you want your own set, hypothetically, if you're going after a situation like this that is gonna be totally custom, I'm sure he can help you out with that. So I can throw his info down in the description, and then, yeah, let's get to cycling this thing.
All right, well, we're back to working on the truck. It's been a couple days. These frame kicks here have been kicking my butt, frankly. And I think a lot of the reason is right now I am using a TE cage, and this is a Izzy Fab back half that we're putting onto it. So trying to convert some stuff to make it work. On top of that, I also have a shorter wheelbase, so everything for these has to get pushed that 4 inches forward in order to go with that luxury Prerunner wheelbase. So you see down here, I've gotten these trimmed and I've gotten the tubes trimmed at an angle, and then we've gotten the rear end leveled out, and I think it's about time to throw these on and start burning them on. So let's go. As you can see, we've got the frame kicks all mocked up now. Was able to set the rear end at 0.0, which is super awesome. And then these took forever. It'd probably been on and off the truck probably 20, if not 30 times at this point. So just trying to get that frame rail trimmed exact to where these are 100% within a 32nd of an inch from each other. And also we have these sitting at the exact same angle here. So on this end, you see 72.3. And then let's go right here. Once again, 72.3. So everything is exact. So I know everything is going to be true. I was able to measure across here to make sure that these tubes right here actually mount exactly where they're supposed to be. So with that being said, it is time to burn these in. So let's get to doing that next. Well, now we got that back trunk section all mounted up. These jack stands ended up being too tall, so I ended up just kind of pushing them out of the way and using these tie down straps to hold it in. So that worked out great. We got everything right now at dead nut 0. All I did right here is I used this one stand to sit here and set the angle of everything. So next up right here, we're actually gonna be cutting through the back of the cab here. We're gonna be setting tubes in right into the cab cage. And that way all those forces basically get transferred in through the entire chassis. And we'll get Dylan over here. He'll do the final welding. So let's cut to that. All right, well, as you can see, we have the entire back half of the truck on right now, and it's been a huge accomplishment because really, it's finally starting to look like a truck again. One of the things I didn't add in the video is I actually threw these tubes on right here. I kind of whipped them up real quick because I figured it was going to keep everything as it heated up, trying to keep it from warping from what it was originally because it was set dead nuts perfect, and I wanted to make sure it retained that after all the heat got thrown into it. So with that being said, from here, I'm actually gonna be going to do more tie-ins to the back of the cab here, and then also these from up here to down here are gonna get tied in along with shock towers. I'm not sure if that's gonna be in this next video. The shock towers are one of the things I'm kind of weary of doing right now just because they have to be perfect. It's such a big piece to the overall look of the vehicle at the end that I feel like shock towers just, again, they have to be absolutely perfect. Otherwise, yeah, it just feels like if you do them wrong, it's gonna ruin the entire thing. So
That being said, a lot of this has been a massively stressful process. There's just things that go wrong, and I really think it's just part of the journey. Although I've enjoyed it and I've made great friends through it, there's, you know, random things that you run into. Like one of my upper links, even though it's brand new, I have a 1.25 inch thread that it's just they didn't machine it enough to where my Heim wouldn't want to thread in, so I had to go get those threaded out at a local shop. And again, that's an 1.25 inch left-hand thread, so it's just a random part that not everybody has lying around. So you run into some complications like that, and you know, there's guys like Reed over at Steel Nuts. He's been massively helpful and just a great friend all in all to have. And I will stay being a supporter of Steel Nuts over there because they've helped me out several times. And also Izzy is another person that has helped out tremendously through this entire process. With it being a lot of his products, that probably helps with him being more helpful, but it's nice to have it where it's like, hey, I ran into this, what do you think about this? And I can go and shoot him a message and bam, he'll hit me up right back and yeah, you should go this direction. So that helps out a ton. So again, still enjoying the process. Sometimes, a lot of the time, it can be very overwhelming. And it still is right now, it's still daunting, but I feel like you just get these massive kind of bookmarks that you hit in the process of building, and this is one of them, to look at this and cycle the rear end for the first time, because it's just so, it's so gnarly. I never thought I was going to build something like this, but here we are. As you can see, the bump stops are mounted on. They look super awesome, and yeah, from here, I hope you guys are enjoying the journey. I'm happy to answer questions if you guys got them. I know a lot of people hit me up on Instagram for that, and hopefully I can help out with some other builds. I think my obsession has turned into a decent amount of knowledge that I feel like hopefully I have something to offer to others when it comes to that. Otherwise, yeah, if you're watching these, thank you. I appreciate it. If, you know, I'm hoping it inspires more people to kind of take this on, because I really feel like part of the whole pre-runner world, the appreciation for it is the amount of work that goes into building these. It's not even just financial, it's just the amount of work. You have to be so driven to keep going, and I think that says a lot for the community when you are seeing these builds. And I'm hoping that this sort of starts to display that these things, for the most part, yes, there's bolt-on kits out there that you can throw on in a weekend, but when you start seeing trucks to this level, it takes years. I mean, there's definitely builds that go upwards of 10 years to actually pull to the finish. And for one, I mean, I collected parts for 5 years before I got into this. So, you know, everything's just been sitting storage in the garage until one day I just decided it was time and I was gonna do it. So again, my main goal with this isn't so much to teach, it's more to, I just hope that somebody else is like, yeah, you know what, that guy can do it, I'm gonna go and pull it off too. So again, thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.